A story can only be as good as its heroes, and its hero can only be as good as its villain. In my opinion, a phenomenal villain is the most important aspect of any story. But I've noticed a trend recently that's been bugging me regarding the comic villains of this generation. All of them have a reason to be evil. This, by itself, isn't a bad thing. In fact, some of the best villains of all time have a tragic backstory. Darth Vader, Magneto, and even a few versions of the Joker. But in recent times, I feel like every villain has a reason to be evil, and frankly, I'm tired of feeling bad for them. So, bring back evil villains. I've broken it down into 3 different villains that I think perfectly portray being evil for no other reason than just to be evil and powerful. Some of these dudes be doing wild acts for little to no reason, and I think that's exactly what we need nowadays. Sit back, relax, and watch me yap about my favorite evil villains. If you really look at it, Emperor Palpatine is the best villain of all time, and he's my personal favorite villain. I mean, who you know out here turning the Chosen One into his lapdog, whooping the most powerful Jedi's ass in a 1v1, and ruling the galaxy for 20 years. That isn't even mentioning all the shit his apprentices do for him, like, I don't know, building a planet-destroying weapon, starting a massive clone war, and everything else that Maul did. Up until the Return of the Jedi, Palpatine really took no L's. And if you look at the sequels, he technically still had control over the galaxy by pretending to be Snoke and ruling the First Order. So he's really undefeated. But before he even took his reign of terror, he killed his master per the Rule of Two, and Palpatine's master was Darth Plagueis, one of the most powerful Siths in history. The Emperor really stood on business at all times, and what made him so badass to me is he was doing all of this just because he wanted to. He was a Sith, he hated Jedis, he wanted control of the galaxy. Simple as that. No heart-shattering reason behind his years and years of deception and betrayal. Palpatine is just an asshole. He was born like that. The way Palpatine pieced up Maul and his brother is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars scenes. I mean, just look at this motherfucker. And at the end of it all, he beats Darth Maul, and Palpatine is standing over his first apprentice. You'd think Palpatine would let it slide or something. Nah, man, look what this dude does.
Have mercy. Please, please.
There is no mercy.
Good lord! Palpatine is just too evil, man. And that's why I think the Emperor was so successful in these movies. He had no weakness in his mental. He knew what he wanted, and no one could ever use emotional connection against him. Ironically enough, that's exactly how he turned Anakin to the dark side. This motherfucker Anakin had every emotional connection that a person could have. A best friend, a wife, an apprentice. I know when my boy Palpatine saw Anakin doing all this, he was about to cook up something strange. The Jedis just handed him Anakin, and you thought Palpatine wasn't gonna take and run with that? He out here killing Padme, killing Dooku. This was crazy. I know Dooku was dumbfounded hearing this come out of Palpatine's mouth.
Kill him. Kill him now.
And then ended up smacking Yoda around. He's an all-time GOAT. I wish more movies had this type of outcome. The villains showing why they're the villains. You look at a lot of movies and TV shows nowadays, and the villains never really do anything that matters. They don't kill anyone important. They don't change the world for the worse. They kind of just talk a lot. And even if they do something important like Thanos in Infinity War, eventually the heroes do something to reverse it. But not Palpatine. The Emperor changed the galaxy in a way no one could ever forget. I mean, he killed like 90% of the Jedi.
Execute Order 66.
He's the best villain of all time. Darkseid is definitely in my top 3 villains of all time, and much like Palpatine, he's just an asshole, born like that. He already rules over Apocalypse, and he just wants to expand his empire. He's one of DC's big bad, and Darkseid is just a greedy motherfucker. He constantly goes toe-to-toe with Superman, even winning some of those fights. He shows no mercy. I've heard the argument saying that Darkseid is a boring villain, and I just never understood this argument. It takes a team of the world's strongest superheroes to stop one guy. That reason alone makes Darkseid an S-tier villain. That paired with his never-ending mission to rule over existence itself, and I do mean never-ending. Do you want to know how Darkseid became Darkseid? He betrayed his brother and took the power of the Omega Force himself, getting his brother killed in the process. Then, he kills his own mother in order to be the sole ruler of Apocalypse. There's no line Darkseid won't cross. He shows up, devastates the place, then bounces to the next. Unlike other big bads, like Thanos, who just wants to balance the world, Darkseid doesn't want balance. He just wants power. Also, Darkseid would whoop Thanos' ass, so don't at me. And in the New 52, his origin is changed to being a deadbeat farmer under the old gods. He manipulates the old gods into killing each other, then Darkseid absorbs their power, becoming the new god, Darkseid, once again emphasizing his lust for power from the beginning. Darkseid is just evil incarnate, and that's why he's one of the most feared big bads in comics. He's ruthless, undying, and powerful. Except when Batman plot armor having ass outsmarts him and almost destroys his entire planet. But that's Batman, so that doesn't count. I am praying that the new DCU shows Darkseid at his true power and not the trash we've seen. I need to see the DCAU Darkseid on the big screen. And don't get me started with the Injustice 2 Darkseid. This one might be a little surprising, but not even lying, I think High Evolutionary was one of the best villains in recent MCU history. I know that isn't much competition, but nonetheless, he was a great villain. He was changing entire planets' evolutionary tracks for scientific research, trying to build the perfect society. Then Rocket solved the problem he was having in like 10 seconds, and that made dude just lose it. He started tweaking out for the rest of the movie, then shot Rocket's little girlfriend for no reason, then pulled this little number out when Rocket was grieving the death of his new friend.
Oh my god, bro.
That is top tier disrespect. Now, honestly, he didn't do that much to devastate the galaxy as a whole, but the way the actor portrayed the High Evolutionary was just awesome. Bro had the biggest god complex that I've ever witnessed in a movie. High Evolutionary was no bullshit, freaking out the entire movie, calling Rocket disgusting, and how since he created him, he was smarter. I mean, he was really just a heartless guy. Then when the perfect society wasn't up to his standards, he would just blow up the planet and start again. I remember being in the theater and being like, damn, this dude is fucked up. And I felt absolutely zero sympathy for him when the Guardians started to jump him at the end of the movie. It was perfect. At the core of his character, he was just an evil guy. No amount of tragic backstory could justify what he did in Guardians 3, and I'm glad he didn't have one to begin with. Just an evil guy doing evil things. And boy, he was ugly as shit. Rocket fucked him up. I'm not saying that villains shouldn't have a reason to be evil, but just not all the time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments who your favorite villain is, and let me know what else you'd like me to talk about. I'll see you guys in the next video.